Sit or stand. Welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? Hello, I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I have my co-host Tim Ryan, lead man at StartWheel.org, or as some might call him, Ryan Tim, because they don't read it correctly. If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch the first 3 minutes of last week's episode with Chris Tillett. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show each and every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. Alexis Perkins is resourceful. When a roadblock gets in her way, she finds a way over, around, through, or under it. So much so that she utilizes this tool that we use every single day to launch a business around. Alexis, howdy doody.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Zach. Or should I say Ryan Tim?
There you go.
Well, we asked, how do you handle having last week we asked the guy who has a weird last name, how do you handle people spelling that incorrectly and stuff like that? And I asked him, well, you have two common names. And he goes, will you be surprised? People call me Ryan all the time.
And they spell it time with autocorrect, but
autocorrect is the worst. Tim, I've never let you do this, so why don't you ask the first question?
Man, you're gonna put me on the spot just like that. I just roll with you, man.
I mean, I can roll if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay. Alexis, what's your favorite place in the entire world?
Ooh, immediately I thought about Rome. I love Rome. That's my favorite place. That's one of my favorite places to visit.
Can you point to it on the map?
Point to it on the map?
It's right behind her.
Oh, I'm like, hold up. We're in Europe. Oh, it's over. Where's that? Oh, here we go. Here. It's over here. Europe. Bam. Somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I am not a geography major. If you would have pointed to the thing below on the left, just down there, and pointed towards a place that looks like Brazil, I would have said that's probably it.
Do you know how many people have come by the house and I will playfully ask them, where is the United States? And they point to the total wrong country.
Okay, well, that's wrong.
It tickles me on the inside. I think somebody thought that the United States, and I was like, you are so wrong. It's all the way over there.
I mean, that's a problem.
Yes, but I'm obsessed with the world. And so that's why, I like maps, globes, and all that good stuff.
Interesting. What got you into, I guess, traveling or maps, globes, things like that?
I don't know where I get some of the zany ideas that I have, but I always had this thing. Well, God created the world, and I want to see what he created. I want to see it all. And so I've traveled to a lot of different countries, and I'm very fortunate to do so. And every time I go, it's like an eye-opener to different culture and everything like that. And it's amazing how much you can learn and then apply it to what you do. Like, even with business, there are some things that I learned by going to Europe, like their business models. And I straight took that business model and applied it to my business. And I was like, oh, that's great. So I love every aspect of it.
That style is really important. And I think whatever you do in life, it's important to do that, right? So whether or not it's, Tim and I talk about fitness a lot, right? There's a lot of parallels between fitness and business, but travel and business and the efficiency of trying to get in and out of something. I think people that can take the scenario that they're living through and say, how can I take what I just learned and maybe use this in my life, my business, my career, I think are a step above the next. So good on you for doing that.
Completely agree. So where did you come up with Chair One Fitness? Did you discover that amongst your travels?
I didn't discover it amongst my travels, but I was thrusted into it here in the United States. I was teaching my regular dance fitness classes, Zumba, all that stuff. And when I wanted to take fitness full time, I really didn't know how I would do it, because in the fitness industry, group exercise instructors don't get paid that much, at least not to make a full-time career out of it. So when I decided to take it full time, I was fortunate enough that somebody asked me if I would be willing to teach at an adult daycare. And they said it would have to be seated. And they asked me, was I used to teaching people with wheelchairs? I said, no, but I can try. Are you used to teaching people with dementia and Alzheimer's? No, but I can try. Have you ever taught someone with a stroke? No, but I can try. And so after they told me all the different things to expect, I immediately called my grandma, picked a brain for what songs to use. And then I came up with a class, and then I started. And that's when I learned that teaching or doing something in a niche market is actually more like a specialty market. So you can command more dollars per hour. And I absolutely loved it. So I got to be around seniors, which are all like the grandmas and the grandpas of the world. And I got to have another revenue stream come in, and I got to have a good time. So I just basically came about it by saying yes to somebody asking me. I'm big on saying yes.
Yeah, I love that. So the economics behind being a trainer, I guess, in a group setting, they just don't work. You have to do a lot of it to do it in most situations, or?
Well, the difference between your regular standing fitness class and adapting it to a chair is figuring out, okay, how do I work the muscle groups while being seated? How do I get the cardio and get the heart rate up while seated? Or how do I instruct to somebody who may have a limited mobility, hence arthritis or anything like that? How do I adapt a class that somebody's going to have dementia and I need to figure out how to keep their attention if they wander off? So it just presented a bunch of new elements that you would never typically see in the gym environment. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge of having to learn it. And even like during the Chair One Fitness instructor training, we have a whole section called Overcoming Obstacles. And it could be stressful for some, but I just love it. I say, what are you going to do if you walk in and somebody has an oxygen tank? What are you going to do if you're talking to one of your students and their teeth fall out? What are you going to do if somebody has schizophrenia and they start tripping in the middle of class? And they're like, you really had to experience all that? I'm like, yes.
So, I mean, what was the biggest thing that you learned? I mean, this is a huge learning process. I guess what was the thing that surprised you the most? What are the things that you enjoyed the most?
I just enjoy people. I enjoy seeing everybody in their element. And as much as it could be like, oh my gosh, you had to deal with all of that and all of those obstacles and hurdles. But it's kind of fun. It's kind of adventurous. I will say the biggest lesson I learned is how to adapt to any environment. That was fun, because when you learn how to adapt to any environment, you're pretty much prepared for anything. And typically all those things wouldn't happen in one day, but you might experience a little bit here and a little bit there. And so it was hilarious to me that one time I had an instructor training and I was the lead educator on it. So I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, right? And I had just trained them on all the individual different things that were happening. And I was like, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do that. And then the next week I went to go teach my weekly class. And I thought, God, you're playing with me today. It was like 10 different obstacles in one class, all back to back. I had one person with an oxygen tank, one person who got stuck at the door with their walker, one person who was trying to go to the bathroom, one person who was trying to reach down and ended up sliding halfway out of the wheelchair. And I thought, really, all of this in one day? In one day? But I handled it.
How do you...
What's your favorite, I don't know what the age demographic would be, but I'm guessing probably in terms of music that you play, what's your go-to power song to get the heart rate going? Is it like
the YMCA?
It's actually two kinds of music, too. We do a combination of some music that they resonate with, which we call of their time. And then we do some new stuff. And I always encourage people, don't be scared to try new stuff. Some people would say, oh yeah, well, we have to do like a completely 60s playlist. No, you don't. They love modern music. They do.
Okay.
When I had first did Old Town Road, the funniest thing is how they mess up the lyrics, okay? Because, you know, it's, oh, I'm going to take my horse to the Old Town Road. Yeah, and then I had like my seniors, and they were probably between 90 and 95. And they completely remixed it.
So they're like, oh, I'm going to take Alexis down to the Old Town Road.
No. They said, I'm going to take my horse to the old folks' home.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that is not the lyrics, but I will roll with it. So definitely we keep it lively with new songs, old songs, a combination. And I always say, play the new music as well, because you don't want to assume what they like and what they don't like. Don't put them in a box. Let them have fun with the new stuff and throw in some of the classics and everybody will have fun. The classics are great for those who have dementia because they can sing along with it, you know? So
the story of how Lil Nas X became himself, I guess, or became, I don't know what the right word is, got that song to be where it is pretty cool. How he basically was making it. And I guess it was when TikTok was just starting to really lay over music. It was something that a lot of people did. That's when the jingle came around with it. And I think, that's inspired a lot of other people to do, I don't know I'm not hip enough, but like people, The Weeknd had that one song where everyone was doing the dance to it and stuff like that. And so that type of virality moments, pretty cool to see stuff like that. And then to hear the backstory of how it kind of happened, and then to hear how Billy Ray Cyrus kind of came into fruition and with that, and then how he bought him a Maserati. It's pretty cool to see that. There's a whole there's like a 20-minute quick documentary on that where they actually interview him. I think it's on like NPR or something, but it's cool about that. Okay, so you talked a lot about hurdles and roadblocks and in situations like that. I'm interested how, not in the moment, what you do what you do in the situations, but what you do beforehand to prepare for those roadblocks and challenges. For example, I like to do really hard things outside of the thing that I'm doing. So like if in business, I ran a marathon with Tim. We started the same race.
Okay.
A better way to say it, right? And I did it from a challenge perspective, but I wanted to hit this roadblock to see how I could get myself through that, which would help me in other situations. Is there something like that for you where you prepare for those roadblocks or those 10 scenarios that you had that one day, but not actually in that moment, but somewhere else?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I do to prepare beforehand. One of them is try to learn as much as I can. I try to foresee what's happening, and then I'm like, well, let me just learn a lot about everything so that I can be prepared in many, many situations. I'm a true dork at heart. So an example of just learning, I remember one time I read this book called Condensed Knowledge. Okay. Condensed knowledge is broken down by subjects, but it just gives you little bite-sized pieces of information about all different things. It goes from the Mona Lisa down to science, down to math, everything you can think of, with little bite-sized pieces of information. Because I read that book, I could make it applicable to different situations. For example, the art section talked about Monet and A Starry Night in one little itty paragraph. So one day when I had to go to my friend's job, their boss was there, and I walked in and I saw the picture. And I said, oh, you like Monet? And all of a sudden they were impressed. And I'm like, I don't really know everything about art, but I remember that one little paragraph. So I prepared by having little bits of knowledge already downloaded inside of me. The other thing that I do, and this one is a little bit weird. I was telling my friend about it the other day, and it's when I'm preparing for events or preparing for something that's happening the next day. So I will share what I do, even though I'm fearful y'all are going to call me a weirdo. So I had an event coming up. I had the Love Fest coming up, which was like the largest dance fitness event here in the Hampton Roads area. And we had the team of volunteers, and they were asking me, Alexis, what do we need to do to be prepared? And that was my first time having to delegate the different responsibilities to other people. Normally I did it by myself. So I'm in this room and it's about 20 people, all volunteers. And I had to go into my think mode that normally I do naturally, that I had never done in public. I said, okay, bear with me. I literally put my hands on my temples, closed my eyes, and I paced back and forth. And I said, okay, the people are going to come. How are they going to know where to park? And then I said, somebody, we need a sign. We need a sign somewhere. I said, okay, how do they know what door to go into? Okay. Ooh, we need music. Somebody get music, and I need a different device. Can somebody offer their iPad? We need a speaker, and we need music at the front so that they could come in. Okay. Okay, so now they're in the building. They're walking. We have VIP people and regular people. All right, we need somebody to handle VIP, somebody to handle regular. So I literally went into this mode where I close my eyes and I just envision and walk through everything so that I don't miss any parts. And just by doing that or putting myself in the moment, then it was able for me to see hurdles before they come. I know it's strange. I felt like Professor X, like,
well, there's the nerd at heart right there coming on.
I'm curious if you're able to sleep at night.
Oh, I don't even
She's like, I'm fine. Sleep's
Have a
fine.
glass of wine. I can sleep after a glass of wine.
Yeah.
If you ever want to give me a gift, barefoot Pinot Grigio.
Ah. What part of your portfolio right now is focused on the chair fitness part, and how much is focused on regular physical fitness training classes?
Right now, goodness gracious, 90% of what I do is run Chair One Fitness. And so even today, I'm really excited because I have the opportunity to present for the Aging Summit in Australia. So that also comes with hurdles because we have to get the time zones right. So it's going to be 9 o'clock in the morning for them on Friday, but it's going to be 5 o'clock p.m. on Thursday for us. So I'm really excited to do that. So 90% of everything I do is with Chair One Fitness or growing the business. And it was weird because you kind of step out of the role of instructor into role of founder, creative director, and all the business aspects. So I love fitness, but I love business in general. So 90% of the day is Chair One Fitness, the business aspect of it. Tonight, I get to have some fun because I get to present for the Australian fitness instructors. And then the other thing of what I do is typically I love business. So right now I'm doing all my studying for consulting and everything like that. So much like you guys can help other future entrepreneurs, you know?
How were you discovered in Australia?
Well, she pointed at them as she pointed to it on the map behind her. She envisioned
That's an easy one.
and she said, "Oh, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna point to a country or a place in the world, and that's where they're gonna find me." Come on, Tim.
I will say, as far as a lot of the things that I'm doing now, one of my friends called me the other day and said, "Alexis, you are everywhere. Do you ever sleep?" I will honestly say I'm a pretty good hustler. Okay, I'm a pretty damn good hustler, meaning that I will Google, I will search, I will talk to anyone. I will talk to 5 people a day, and I will just reach out. I'm balls to the wall when it comes down to opportunities. And I think it's just this promise that I told myself and my team. I feel like if I'm going to pray to God to bless me, I better do my part. If I'm going to have my team support me and back my vision, I better do my part. So when I say I'm giving it all I got, I better give it all I got. Because if I don't, I'm doing a disservice to my team, right? And so,
And to yourself.
yeah. And I'm like, I refuse to have that moment, which a lot of other people have had, where it's like, what if I had done more? I'm not asking myself that question.
Yeah. I mean, it's stunning to me. And Zach and I see this all the time in the sense of the most successful businesses and the most successful entrepreneurs that we see are the ones that put themselves out there
And raise their hand.
and raise their hand. And so many people just want to sit back. They're afraid to do this, they're afraid to do that, and then they complain that the business didn't go anywhere. But I mean, the way you describe that, I mean, it's just, that's it. You captured it all right there.
Yeah, it's crazy because even like for the one that I'm doing tonight, a lot of times people will see the end. Oh my gosh, she's presenting in Australia. Let me rewind. Okay, so there was this guy who I saw on Facebook or Instagram or something, and he was doing all these different trainings and things like that. So I said, let's schedule a call. I get on this call with this guy, and I believe he was Australian or from New Zealand. They're very close. So when he gets on the call with me, he was very direct. And he said, okay, how many followers do you have on Instagram? Okay. How many subscribers do you have? Okay. And then I was like, so do you think we could have some kind of partnership? No, I don't think it's worth our because we have 17,000 and you only have 4. So we could talk another time. I thought, and I kept this face on, right?
Mm-hmm. You can understand why he would think that, though, don't you?
No,
I mean,
no, I don't. On the inside, I was like, "Oh, you're telling me I'm too small."
No, but hold on. Okay, so at some point, I think so. I'm gonna make an assumption. Okay, and granted, I wasn't there and all that kind of stuff because I've had that exact same situation too, where I've been told no in that kind of situation, and I'm just like you, where I pushed through in that situation. But let's say that individual gets the same call like you did 30 times a day, right? And he had to learn at some point how to say no, because a lot of it he learned that the people that had less followers or less of something weren't as fruitful to him. And I'm with you, right? Like, allow all of them to be there. But he probably took a course and someone said, don't listen to these people unless they have this many. His publicist told him, only go on shows that are this and stuff like that. So there's probably a reason there, right? That he's not there. I'm with you on allowing those haters to fuel me to that next level, because I love it. But I'm sure there's a reason why he's doing that. And I think as you continue, Chris, this is funny. I'm sorry. Longtime friend of the show, Chris Hill, says, I'm done going live with Zack Miller. That's funny. He's talking to me. Whatever.
Yeah, that kind of guy. How many followers?
This coming from the guy who has like 200,000 followers on Facebook and goes live and 500,000 people watch it. So that's funny for how you said that. But I'm not sticking up for the guy, but it would be interesting to see as you continue to grow, if what happens when someone with less followers reaches out to you, what you said.
So because I remember that feeling, mind you, what ended up happening was I got off the phone cordially and I decided to brush it off. That's what I always do next. In my mind, I say, well, Alexis, get bigger. And then you brush it off. But he happened to have a friend who was doing an aging summit. And then he remembered who I was. So then he connected me to his friend for the aging summit. That was the end of the happy.
Because you didn't just, rub him the wrong way.
Right.
You didn't burn the bridge. You didn't do all those other things. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, So I think
those people who have fewer followers, I actually remembered what it felt like that day. And I've worked with influencers now for Chair One Fitness, some who have 200,000 followers, some who have 2,000 followers. And the first thing that I say when I get on that phone with them, because I do interviews for our influencers, and I say, hey, I want you to know that with Chair One Fitness, you are more than just your numbers. I like you. Yeah. I like your content. And all the numbers are important. I don't want you to feel like, to me, you're just a number. Okay. You're not just a stat. You're still a person. And I need you to believe in my company like I believe in what you represent. If you don't like what we do, I don't want it unless it's authentic. And so I do believe that as we grow, of course, things would change. But I also never want to make a person feel like they are just their stats. Because even when you think about society, everything's based off stats now.
Well, that's what I was about to say is, right, we I made that comment. And then as we dig into this deeper, so much of it is just like the like-based society, how many followers these people have when, in a lot of situations, it's like, well, how quality are those people? Do you have 1,000 followers that are all over the place, or do you have 100 that listen to everything that you say religiously and buy everything that you want? I would probably rather have the 100 really strong people that are going to go to bat for you, those champions. And that number might be low to some people, but whatever. But if you can't get to 100, if you can get to 100, that's a big win, because if you can get to 100, then you can grow that even more. And so, yeah, I mean, how many people have millions of followers? I mean, the only person that I know that like religiously gets a lot of love both ways with millions of followers is that man right there. I mean,
Chris Hill.
No, right behind me. That's my world map.
The Rock?
The Rock. You don't like The Rock?
I love The Rock.
Yeah, see?
Who doesn't love it?
Exactly. Who hates The Rock? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that like a pose for him? Okay, interesting. Hey, Dwayne, Alexis Perkins, chair1fitness.com. Watch out.
You know what? I should reach out to him. I should ask him if he'll put up a post to support us. He might say yes.
You never know.
You're not afraid to take chances. That's what it's all about.
Or you should find a way to do something with a picture of him on your chair. Like have like a cutout of him doing the moves on the chair. Do something a little more rambunctious with it, if you will.
I'll see. I'll try something. You know what? I'm actually going to reach out to him, and I will let you guys know if I made contact. And if you ever see him doing a Chair One Fitness routine, know that it was victory.
There you go.
Yeah, and then we'll play this back, and then we'll
right.
She said
it. Of course, it started here first.
Like we take credit for that.
Just if you do get a relationship with him,
Oh, I will be in a
Let them
lake.
know that
I
there's
can't.
some random, 36-year-old white male in Chesapeake, Virginia, that's got a picture of The Rock on his wall, half naked.
I saw, and my
That's more than half.
OCD straighten that one other picture.
Yeah, it's there. It's like that intentionally.
It's like it's OCD me. I was like, just
Remember, I wrote the book called Anomaly. The Wall of Icebreakers.
it's
Next week it'll be going the other way.
Exactly.
I don't know. What do you tell in terms of, we have Start Peninsula that's getting ready to start up 2021.
yeah.
And getting all those folks to take the plunge to pitch their business. What advice do you give folks that have this idea that's rattling around in their brain, but they're afraid to pitch? What do you tell them?
Oh gosh,
Because you were a winner last year.
yeah. And matter of fact, you know what? For the background story, just like I talked about when I was on the phone with the one guy, then he looked at my stats and then he told me no, but then it turned into an invitation into something else, right? So it all worked out in the end. You got to have a little bit of patience. I will say when I pitched, I wasn't originally selected, if you can remember.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, I wasn't originally selected. And I thought, well, hot dog, what did I do wrong? And the next thing you know, I got another call and I was like, oh, yay, thank you, Jesus. You came through. But I would say to anybody who is apprehensive, or we've heard all the excuses, I'm not ready to present. My product is still in the ideation or validation phase, or I'm not going to get selected anyway. I don't win anything. For anybody who has made any of those kind of comments, I would say do it anyway. And the reason why is because there's a stat. Even with, if you go on Indeed or any job placements, entry-level jobs get thousands more applicants than higher level jobs. And it's about the person who actually attempted to apply. If you actually applied for the higher level job, you actually statistically have an increased chance of getting it because there's less candidates for them to choose from. But most people stay down here instead of moving up. The same thing with like pitch contests and things like that. You think that all these people are going to enter and that it's so much competition, and it's really not. It's just the effort of even applying to get in or applying to get the pitch. The odds are actually in your favor when you try. And it's fun. And then even if you lose, you still win. Meaning that even if you don't win the pitch, you still got to practice. Even if you lose the pitch, you still won the opportunity to network with other people. If you lose the pitch, now you get invites to future pitches.
Well, don't you think that so many people are doing that? They're coming up with excuses because they actually don't believe in themselves or the product that they're doing. I mean, at the core of it, it's like, oh, my idea is going to get stolen. Oh, it's not ready for this. Well, I mean, do you not anticipate having to do all these things at some point anyway? Because you're going to. You might as well build up a fan club now of people excited about it, rather than wait the 14 years it's going to take you to launch. And I say that jokingly, but I mean, I've seen thousands of businesses do that. And it's just like, like you should probably start doing this a little bit sooner. Like if you, like to me, like if I had an idea today, I would probably start telling people today. Right?
Yeah. I would say, I like what you said about, I don't want somebody to steal my idea. I've heard that one a lot too.
That's because they watched the Facebook movie. Well, you know what? If your idea gets stolen, you make $65 million and you fear the Winklevoss twins. That's probably better.
But they took half of that in stock.
But there's enough.
Even better. There you go.
Right.
But there's more than enough space in the market for multiple ideas. Like I always say, if somebody said, I want to open a fast food chain, but somebody else already did.
We talked about this last week, how they literally, McDonald's, I don't have this actually proven, but McDonald's, let's say McDonald's goes on the location, Burger King doesn't do anything. They don't do any quality control, anything like that. They just say, okay, if Domino's is going to be here, we want to be across the street because we know that they've done the research that all these people are going to come by. And by the way, with multiples, and if they can go on 2 other street corners too, and then maybe even denser, it will be even better for all of us. And so,
because I always say
hotels are the same way. Oh, all sold out.
There's a reason why when you are driving on the interstate and you look at the sign, it says Wendy's, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and Taco Bell. They're all
because they want you to get fat.
But they're all there. There's more than enough space. There's way more than enough space. And you know what? Even I'll say it's not there anymore. I haven't been there in a while, but There used to be it did move. The locations moved. In Ghent, it blew my mind that there was a Starbucks next to a mom and pop coffee shop, literally across the street. Starbucks and a mom and pop coffee shop. Do you know that mom and pop coffee shop was still packed?
Because people are going there for two different reasons, and that's
they wanted something different.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm always like, there's more than enough room for everybody. So
I think in that direct case, so you're talking about Starbucks, and then
as I said, Starbucks.
Look, honestly, I think it's like I used to be one of those people that would bash big boxes, but I actually have a ton of respect for those big boxes because they're able to do something very similar over and over and over again and keep quality control, which I think is very difficult to do. And I think that's very great. You're talking about on Colley Avenue. And so we talked about another one, Stella's versus a Starbucks across the street too, on about 4 blocks away, actually last week too. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, they're there for two different reasons, right? Most people are probably going to Starbucks for convenience.
Yes.
Right. They want to go in there. They want to get that coffee. They know what it's going to taste like. And that's it. Other people are going across the street or next door because they're looking for a place to sit down, a place to feel homey and things like that. Does Starbucks have that in some capacity? Sure. But not the same as I keep trying to think of what the name of that place is.
Is it like eclectic or boutique style? Is that
someone's name? But it's the second floor above that other thing, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and I went there, and it was so comfy and cozy.
But you don't feel that at Starbucks, and there's nothing the matter with that, right? And so people, I always say, if you have a voice in something, let that world see it. And if the world wants that voice to be heard, it will be brought up because more people want to hear it. Just because people hear it one way right now or a couple of different ways right now doesn't mean that your voice, your vision isn't something that can escalate that up bigger and bigger and bigger. And the company that I'm thinking about right now is kind of like a Peloton, if you will, right? Some people love it, some people hate it, whatever. But a lot of people have had indoor fitness stuff for a long time, right? There's been indoor bikes before, but Peloton really accelerated and marketed towards it's cool to have this kind of fitness in your house and to build a community around it, unlike a lot of other companies have ever done before, even though that thing in-home fitness isn't anything new. People have been doing fitness for a long time and people have had homes for a long time. So there was space, and there's still probably space in that market now.
Yes, there's more than enough space for all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. And it's just like, because everybody presents it a little
Fairgrounds. Elliott's Fairgrounds is the name. Thank you, Chris Hill. That's what the name of the coffee shop is. Sorry.
Alexis,
there's enough space. There's enough space. What? Sorry.
Huh?
You said there's enough space in the market for the Pelotons of the world and in-home fitness and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so as far as what you were saying is people who are just hesitant or reluctant, I mean, I'm not the one that people typically like to talk to when they're going through those emotions, because I'm the one who's like, well, get over yourself and just do it. I'm sick of hearing about your idea. If you're not going to do something with it, then stop telling me about it. I wish that more people would just get up and go, face their fears, and just try. And I think even with StartWheel and the pitch contest, that's a great way to just say, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it today, right?
To me, the reason why you've seen success is because of that mindset where you're not afraid to get around it, right? There are people still. So Start Peninsula 2013, let's say. Do you know the actual year?
We're starting our 9th year, so
2012 maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I started Start Norfolk in 2011, I think. There are still people that probably had mentioned to me how they had ideas then that still haven't done anything with it 10 years later. And my response would be, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, get out of your own way. Oh, someone stole my idea. I had the idea for this. Well, your idea clearly was good, but you weren't willing to actually do anything about it.
Yeah, I think people get into their own headspaces and people get fearful, and I respect it. But I always say, I feel fear too. I'm not fearless. I just feel it, recognize it, and keep moving. It's almost just kind of like, oh yeah, I have a headache. Okay, I'm still going to get up and go work. It's just something that I feel. Take an aspirin and keep going. So I recognize it. This is fear that I'm feeling. Okay, well then get your little dose of confidence and just do it anyway, because otherwise it's just going to hold you back. And I don't like the feeling of fear. So just like a headache, I don't want to feel it anymore, right? So if I don't want to feel the headache anymore, I'm either going to take a nap or I'm going to have an aspirin so I don't have to feel that throbbing pain in my head. When I feel fear, I don't want to feel it anymore. So how do I get rid of it? By doing the thing that I'm scared of. That's the only way to get rid of it, is by getting it behind me. So when I feel fear or that apprehensive feeling, my reaction is to get it over with as fast as I can, because I don't want to feel it. I don't like it.
I've been directly involved within our entrepreneurial community for years. And the most common question I get is, Tim, I want to get involved, but I don't know what events I should attend. Well, StartWheel eliminates that pain point, because we consolidate all the events you should attend into a single calendar. Now you'll be in the know and see where to spend your time. Gone is the need to search multiple websites and calendars. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org. So Alexis, with that, I'm curious, do you face your fear head on, or are you comfortable with allowing yourself to be vulnerable, or is it a combination of both?
I think when you're facing it, you are vulnerable. You don't want to. Mm-hmm. You just do it. And I'll say, if you can get used to being uncomfortable, like I remember one time one of my friends went through my phone playfully. They were like, "Oh my God, you messaged Trevor Noah to see if he would endorse you?" Yeah. You know he's not going to respond to you, right? So what? I tried. I wouldn't know it if I didn't try, you know? And if I have an idea, I just do it right then and there, immediately. And so I don't want to think about it, because I feel like when you think about things or when you think about ideas, it's draining. I always give my cell phone analogy. I have an iPhone. And of course, if you were to open up your phones and you see that you have 50 million apps up, you probably can't see. But, when they're all running at the same time, you're supposed to close them or it's going to drain your battery. When you have a lot of stuff that you want to do, or when you have a lot of ideas that you have, if you don't actually get started on them, they're just kind of running in the background of your brain, draining all of your energy. So I'm like, close out the app, start the idea, do the thing, do it now. Close out the apps. It's actually good for you. You'll have more
a lot
energy.
of apps open.
I know. Look at that. Told you. That's how my brain works too. I'm like, let me close these apps. Okay, now they're closed. Okay.
The Trevor Noah scenario is interesting, because it sounds like, and your friend probably not even self-consciously thinking this, right? But what if Trevor Noah responds back, right?
Dope.
To me, it's the raising your hand mindset, right? So like I had a TV show on ABC that happened because a scenario presented itself in front of me and I swung it and kind of raised my hand. And so basically they were like, hey, who could be the host of this TV show? Not asking me who could be the host of this TV show, basically saying, hey, we respect what your thoughts on business. Who could be a host for this TV show? And most people would say someone else. I said, and I raised my hand. And then the person across the table was like, no, that's not what we're not interested in this, right? And I don't even know if I probably did not have a beard then. And I definitely didn't have long hair. And I was definitely fat. But it's true.
But you were the guy interviewing Damon John a couple months later.
But 4 months later, I'm interviewing Damon John because I raised my hand, right? Yeah. And so I was able to ask the guy who turned a pair of jeans, into $8 billion, what that's like, right? And so because I believed in myself, because I was willing to take that risk, that scenario happened. Again, you reach out to the Trevor Noahs of the world 100 times, one of them might respond, or one of them, if you present yourself in a great way, puts you in a situation like when that person said no to you one way, but liked you, just wasn't, it wasn't the right fit, but put you in with someone else. And so I often tell people that if you don't actually raise your hand and do the movements, they're not going to happen, right? That chance that you're hoping for doesn't happen. And so I think a lot of people that see success don't like the success that we see because they weren't willing to raise their hand or to reach out to the Trevor Noahs of the world. So mad respect for that, Alexis. Chris Hill has a question. We touched on this a little bit, but how did Alexis start in the fitness space more generally or in her current niche?
Oh,
Chris
okay.
Hill is looking to work out, I think, in the chair that he's sitting in right now. So,
my history with fitness is actually kind of cute. So when I was a kid, my mom actually taught high-low impact, and that's actually the true beginning. And I used to see her in her little leotards and the leg warmers and everything, and I was just young. And then the next phase was when I was in high school, and I went through puberty, and I gained weight, and I thought I was fat. And I went to my mom, and I said, "Mom, I'm fat. I'm fat." And she said, "No, you're not." And then she also said, "But if you think you are, we'll work on it." The reason why she was so adamant about that is because my mom actually had a eating disorder. And so she never wanted me or my sisters to have that same thing. So when I told her I thought I was fat, the next morning she literally tapped me and said, "Get up." I was like, "What? You said you think you're fat, right?" "Yeah, let's go for a run. This is how you do it." And so she's the one who kind of introduced me into, if you don't like something, then do it the right way, the healthy way. Fast forward years later, not even thinking about what my mom had taught me, I literally was at the gym and I saw these ladies shaking their bums in a classroom, and I decided to try it out, and it was Zumba. And I fell in love with it, and I became an instructor. That was back in 2009. And from then, I don't know, God just took over. I was very, very fortunate. I started teaching Zumba classes. I started my YouTube channel. And by the grace of God, I was asked to go teach overseas. It was the most random thing ever. Literally, my friend from the Dominican Republic who was living in France, who didn't speak English, asked me to go teach in Paris. And I said, okay. I didn't believe it was true. I thought it was fake. And so I said, okay. And then I was at work one day and I get this flyer and everything's in French. And I thought, holy crap, it's for real. And so then I ended up flying to Europe and teaching in France and Italy, came back home and was still teaching my little classes at the big box gyms and things like that. Then I ended up flying to, Tokyo and Serbia and Switzerland and all these cool places to go teach. And it was the whirlwind of a time, and it was great. And then with all of that, I ended up having the local TV show for the local fitness lady. That was fun. And I was like, And so everything just kind of flowed. It was like one right into the next. It was like, oh, I'm just going to try this class. Oh, wow, it actually took off. Ooh, they asked me to do a TV show. Okay. And then did that. And then it ended up becoming the full-time shtick. And like I said earlier with the chair fitness, that came, two reasons why that came. Somebody asked me to teach at that adult daycare, and I said, yes, I'll try it. The second thing was, after teaching high intensity dance fitness for so long, my own body started to get injuries. I had bursitis in one ankle, tendonitis in another ankle, and I knew that I couldn't jump forever. So how do you have longevity in the field that you teach in when your body's breaking down? So not only was Chair One Fitness good for the people who take the class, it was good for me too as an instructor, and gave me an extended career.
And you, so you mentioned your YouTube channel. There's some videos, some that are out there that have several 100,000 views, correct?
Yeah.
and was that, you were just doing it for the love of doing it? You weren't necessarily producing and putting those out there trying to get these views. Do you have any idea, what made it viral? Talk us through that.
I'm not really sure what made it. And I don't even think there's an equation for what makes people gravitate towards certain things. It's just, like, who would have thought the Gorilla Glue Girl would have gone viral? We don't know. We don't know what's going to go viral and what's not. It's kind of hard to predict. And so I think that since we don't know how to predict what is going to go viral and what's not, I think a lot of times if you just start doing what you love, back to what was being said earlier as far as starting and people being apprehensive. So I was just doing what I loved in the fitness industry, and I just decided to put out a video, but it ended up guiding me along. So for a lot of those people wanting to get started, if you do just have an idea, go ahead and apply to present. You never know what's going to happen, but it might be that thing that just moves you along, right? And so a lot of things start off with passion, and then they pick up momentum, and then that passion can turn into purpose. And if you're lucky, that will all turn into something that's another revenue stream, because there's nothing better than making money doing what you love.
Yeah. So with that, you just launched your subscription model for Tier 1 Fitness, correct? Talk to us about that, because this is like brand new. So what's new?
We're very excited about it. So prior to COVID, our main thing was just training instructors to go out and teach. So we were an instructor training program. Because COVID happened, there's a lot of people at home who didn't have the resources, who couldn't even go out to get an instructor. And I pay attention to the comments on videos, and I pay attention to my inbox and emails. And I thought, let's do something. Let's do something. So we got the idea in December to create on-demand workouts for people, where we created in all different kinds. We have 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, Motown, gospel, kids, upper body only. So many different types of 30-minute workouts for everybody who's at home. And we mass produced it all in 2 days. It was a crazy production weekend. We had a team of over 25 people on the set. Our youngest was 3 years old. Our oldest was, how old was she? 80? 80. Yeah, so it was 3 to 80 was the ages on the set. And it was just a beautiful thing. And then we launched it just last month. And so we're really, really excited that we're able to allow people to have their workouts right at home. And not only is it good for people at home, but it's also good for caregivers. Caregivers are really worn out right now. So a lot of seniors or people who have limited mobility, they don't have like the adult daycares open right now, or they don't have all the facilities open. So that responsibility is now on a family member or a caregiver or a home health worker. And they're like, well, what do we do to keep them moving? Right? We come to the house every day, but what do we do? They could also utilize our workouts to work out with the participant, or to help guide them along to keep them moving.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at zackmillersays.com/Anomaly Academy.
What did you say, Tim?
No, I thought you were going to ask a question.
Here I am, stumping you again.
No, you're not stumping me. I just didn't want to walk all over you.
So on-demand isn't new, right? Videos aren't new. Fitness isn't new. If someone, we've kind of talked about being that that individual that maybe others are looking for in a space that's crowded, right? If someone was to ask you, like me asking you, what makes you different? What makes your platform different? What makes this thing different? Why do you think that people are coming to you? Why do you think that what you're doing is starting to see some traction compared to some of the other stuff that's been on the market for some time?
Can I just be straightforward and say it? Or
I would hope so.
Okay, cool. Honestly, I think that what makes us different is that we're down to earth, we keep it real, and we have fun. A lot of the different options that are out there that are for people with limitations, they put on that sob story. You know how like they do, what is that PSA with the dogs and the sad music, like, oh, woe is me, and the little sad puppy face. We don't do that. We celebrate. We're not sad. And we're not sad that somebody's in a wheelchair. We're not sad that somebody had an amputation. We're not sad that somebody has arthritis. All this stuff is normal, right? So because it is normal, that means that they should be able to have fun, work out, and dance just like everybody else. With us right here on this video, we're all able-bodied, right? Good. God blessed us with everything works and functions. So you mean to tell me that because somebody has arthritis and joint pain, that they shouldn't be able to have all the options that everybody else does? You mean to tell me that because somebody has spina bifida, that they shouldn't be able to have dance options? You mean to tell me that because somebody's 90, they shouldn't be able to shake their groove thing? No, that's stupid. And so what we did was we put the fun elements in it, but we also have the science. So we partnered it together. So a lot of the different fitness programs, they're great. They're great for functional training. Like I love Silver sneakers, right? They are great. Zumba Gold is great. Silver and Fit is great. They're all great programs, but ours just happens to combine the elements of science, recreational therapy, and fun. Out of all the different organizations, we are the only one that is a pre-approved course with 7 different national organizations, 2 of them being from the fitness industry, 2 of them being for recreational therapists, 2 of them being for activities professionals at senior homes, and 1 being for dementia practitioners. So even though when you watch our videos and we're up there doing Savage Love and rocking it out, we also have all the respect in the background from these national organizations. And we made sure to have both. So if somebody says, oh yeah, y'all are just dancing, you better read my credentials.
Do you think that DJ Khaled and someone like a Jason Derulo say their names in their songs so that people remember them, or that they maybe forget it? Do you think it's like maybe like their parents writing their names on their underwear or something like that?
Because it's like, and another one, right? As soon as you said that, first of all, as soon as you said, why do they say their names? The only thing that went through my head was Jason Derulo. You know, you always hear it in every single song. Why did you put that earworm in my brain right now?
I mean, I thought it was a good step. I mean, I'm thinking that maybe as you're doing Chair One Fitness, you could be like, it's Alexis Perkins. Yeah.
I should try it.
I had something I wanted to say. Now I don't remember it.
My question, while you're thinking about that, Zach, my question, what's in store? What's the future hold for Chair One? What are your goals? Where do you want to be? Are you going to raise money to blow this thing out of the water? Are you just going to have fun and let this grow organically? What's the future hold for you?
Honestly, I can tell you the goal. I want us to be the #1 chair-based fitness program in the world. That's what I want. Okay. I want us to make a huge impact, and I want us to celebrate people's different abilities. That's what I want. Because of my research with Share One Fitness, I'm on the phone or on Zoom calls with lots of different people with different ability levels. And the one thing that bothers me is how they sometimes feel shame. Like people look at them like they're different. And it would be one of my goals to kind of normalize that, because I can tell you, I've seen some beautiful women who only had one arm. I've seen some fine dudes who can't even move their legs. And I'm like, they're just like we are. Why is it that society can't see that? So I'm like, if we continue to put out our cool content and everything like that, it'll be like everything is fine. It actually is normal, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So I remember what I wanted to say. I wrote it down, so I'm not going to forget it. But you say you want to be the #1 chair fitness platform in the world. Mm-hmm. How do you track that? That's the first thing.
Well, right now we have, I don't want to call them competitors because I love them so much, but we have the ones who have the biggest footprint, okay? Mm-hmm. Footprint, meaning how many people know about who they are, how many people are utilizing the services, okay? So what we want to do is we want to increase our footprint. We wanted to start off in the United States, and then we've also branched out into English-speaking countries first, because we're still relatively new. Chair One Fitness we're in our terrible 2s right now, okay? We're only 2 and some years old. Terrible 2s is where we are. And we have a lot of growing to do. Even though we've grown very fast, we still have a ways to go. So I just want to make some noise, and I want people to be aware of the services, because it can be used direct to consumer at home. It can be used by facilities, and then our instructors, of course, who go out and deliver the live classes, which are so fun. And so, yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
So awareness is great, but how do you, so to want to be that thing, right? When do you put the poster on the wall that says Chair One Fitness is the #1 fitness company in the world, right? I think you talked about competitors and things like that. You want to grow in awareness, but like, what does that metric look like? What does that metric need to be at for you to actually be able to, an authoritative stamp of approval saying, boom, we've actually hit that number. Do you know what that number is?
I don't even know the exact number, but I know there's a couple milestones that I want to reach. So it's not the biggest number, but I know a couple milestones, meaning that right now we are working on I'm working on it, haven't gotten all the way through, with partnerships with the Comfort Keepers and Home Instead and all those different organizations that go and cater to the people at the home. We want to be their partner. We want to be the ones that they turn to give them the resources they need to keep people moving at home, right? We want to be the one program that is in all of the senior communities, be it assisted living or adult daycares or independent living, everything like that. We want to be the resource for people who are at home and their family members know, like, hey, you know, we need to go ahead and get this because this is the program to turn to. It's almost like when you think about, let's just say healthcare in general, there's a couple names that come up in conversation. You might say Anthem, you might say Optima, right? Mm-hmm. If you think about the grocery store, you might say Walmart or Kroger, first things that come to mind. If you think about fitness apparel, you might think Nike or Reebok or Adidas. So when I think about Chair One Fitness being the #1 chair-based fitness program in the world, it's being that name that comes up. And right now, we're not there. So we have to get there.
How big is the market? I mean, do you have any idea in terms of how big could it get? I'm curious.
I know that it's $1 billion industry, and I know that I have lots of stats written down. If I were to try to regurgitate those numbers off the top of my brain, it'd probably pop. But I know that we have a huge market because it isn't just for seniors, it's also for those who have complications standing. And just to call them out for a moment, so a lot of people, we do cover seniors, but it also covers anyone who has complications standing. That is your plus size people who cannot bear weight on their joints currently and they need something to get started. It is mobility aid users, meaning they have a walker or they might be a wheelchair user. You also have amputees. You have those with spinal cord injuries, be it multiple sclerosis. You also have Parkinson's disease. Those who have dementia and Alzheimer's who benefit from having a seated workout. Those who have balance deficits, meaning having vertigo or anything like that. So the market is pretty wide as far as the amount of people that can benefit from a seated workout. Our lane is specific to movements in a chair with no equipment. And the other lane that we go into is upper body only workouts. That is our lane. That is the furthest that we go.
So as we get ready to wrap, I mean, one of these things that, I mean, you elude this and not elude this, but I mean, where did you get this passion for life? I mean, is this something that you have always had? Is this something that you had to learn? Where did this come from?
I don't know. I think I'm a little strange because, you know, even in my family, I was the first one to graduate from college. And when people say, why did you? Because I thought I could. I had this thought. I'll tell you what the thought was. Okay, I see this person has this and that person has that. Okay, I know where I come from. But then I thought to myself, God made everybody, right? At least that's what they say. God created us. So that means he created you and he created them and he created Oprah and he created The Rock and he created anybody who was ever president. God created all of us. So God didn't create somebody to have more potential than the other. We are all possessed with greatness on the inside. So I wondered, if I were to do all that I could do, what am I capable of? It was that nagging question in my mind. What am I capable of? And then with that, I guess, spawned a lot of ambition because I was like, I think I'm capable of a lot. Let's find out. So I'm just strange.
The Fervent 4 is powered by the Small Business Development Center, which helps local small businesses grow through counseling. If you're interested in learning more on how the SBDC can help your business, head to startwheel.org/weekly.
Okay.
Beautiful way.
That was great. It dropped a little bit beforehand, but
well, you know what? Let me ask you this, because I ask myself this question all the time. So if 44. I were to ask you, Tim, or you, Zach, like, I don't know what your answers would be. Oh my God, I'm about to turn to the interviewer. Okay, so, all right, I'll ask Zach first, because Zach has cool answers. You do too, Tim, but Zach.
Yes.
If I can ask you the question, currently in life, are you doing all that you're capable of?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, you're doing all that you're capable of.
Yeah.
Tim?
I try.
I think
that there's always a way that you can, look back and say, man, I could have did a little bit more. Could I have ran an extra mile to this morning? Could I have replied to that one email? But I mean, I think I'm pretty much an overachiever type of guy that wants to try to fit in as much productivity as I can in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, I think there's always more as well. I've learned to grow into that. So I want to ask you one last question, Alexis. And we've talked about kind of the negative media space, the negative space of marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When people are so used to that, and it's even like the way people develop scripts of commercials to make you feel bad so that you end up buying from them. And then you see just like influential marketing from the negative perspective. And if you don't have this, you're not good, et cetera. What are your just general thoughts on that? And how do we get out of that kind of mindset of such negativity? Because it's everywhere.
I know. I'm usually a very optimistic person, but for this one, I don't think we can necessarily get out of the situation. All it did was change. It went from television and magazines telling everybody that they needed to be thinner and lighter and more buff and whatever. Just things that get saturated into our culture, you know? I hope this isn't too pervy, but they even talked about the history of how with women, why now in culture it's normal to be completely, you know, Brazilianed out when that came from culture. That was just what we saw on television, saw in movies, saw everywhere, and now it's normal. So I don't think that we can necessarily get rid of some of those things, but I think that we can work on ourselves. And that is, pardon me, knowing your worth, knowing who you are as a person. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, anything that they have all the stats and the likes and the hearts and how many comments did you get, you can kind of start to value yourself based off of that. And I would say off camera, off social media, to really hone in on who you are as a person. Because when you dial down your phone, when you power down your laptop, you have to ultimately be with yourself. And I think you have to learn to have that kind of self-worth and self-value that, yeah, I may have 20,000 followers, which I don't, this is just an example, and you think you're doing something. And then you compare yourself to the person who has 200,000 followers and all of a sudden it's not enough. And then let's just say you do all of your due diligence and now you have 200,000 followers, yay! But then this other person has 1 million and you still feel small. If you don't dig deep and love yourself and understand your value as your morals, your character, do you give to others? Do you care about others? Do you care about your family? What are you doing to take care of yourself? You will always feel small because there's always going to be somebody else to compare yourself to. So that's the first thing that I would say as far as all the negativity that is social media. It could really be bearing down on you.
Yeah, and what do those numbers even really mean, you know?
Nothing. I had people who had
Exactly.
like 1 million followers and they thought that they were everything, and then their account got hacked and they went down to 0. And people internalize that as their value mark. And I feel like it's very, very, you know, sad. You have to remember who you are on the inside. And the last thing that I recommend for anyone, very specific, finding a good therapist. Not all therapists are good. Not all therapists are a good fit for the individual, but a good therapist. I know for me being an entrepreneur, they always say it's lonely at the top. Sometimes you don't have anybody to talk to. Sometimes you want to talk about your family business, but you don't want to tell your friends who are going to air it out. Sometimes you just need to have a confidant who, by law, they can't tell anybody, but they can keep you mentally in check. Where you can feel small on social media, but then you could have them remind you, hey, those are just numbers, silly person, right? And social media can be very, very harsh. And I've had to see it and I've had to read comments and things like that, not even just on my page, but other people's pages where there are people who have no followers and their whole goal is just to troll other people. And yeah, and I've seen them and I was like, really? You don't even have any posts. Why are you even on this? And so I do think having a good therapist is a good way to go, to have somebody to talk to through those problems who you don't have to worry about them putting your business out there. I love having a therapist. My therapist recently retired, so I'm looking for a new one. I'm serious. After 13 years.
I laugh with you. I agree. I wish that society, I mean, that needs to be played up and as a good thing, as opposed to be like, man, that person's crazy. Yeah, I mean that.
You know what? I'm glad you said that specifically, because I was doing a public speaking engagement and I was talking about having a therapist. I said, because of my therapist, there was a time when somebody said, Alexis, you're crazy. And I said, no, I'm not. My therapist told me. So you can't tell me I'm crazy because I've been diagnosed sane. I was like in your face. So yeah, but I am an advocate for that, because too many people try to handle things on their own. And it is good to have somebody to talk to who they have a non-biased opinion. Your friends love you, your family loves you, and they're going to have a biased opinion. So having that non-biased opinion is really, really good. And if somebody can't get a therapist because of insurance purposes, even whatever, finding a group of like-minded people. So if you're an entrepreneur, join some entrepreneurial groups. If you're a fitness instructor, join some fitness instructor groups, because at least y'all will have like same common denominators, same issues, and kind of talk through.
And that's really a big thing. We've mentioned Chris Hill a few times on this show today, but I mean, that's the big thing. His following is huge because as a chef, that's a community where chefs can communicate and they understand one another and they can vent to one another and they know what the inside jokes are. And it's a neat community to watch from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. I totally agree. So, and that community is great. So, Alexis, appreciate you being with us today. Tim, always great to see you. And thank you all for watching. If you guys are interested in watching this live each and every week, go to startwheel.org/live. And we'll see you guys next Thursday at 11. Till then, peace.
So long. Thanks, Alexis.
Toodaloo.
And ping.